Today we're talking about the Leica Q2 and specifically the low light capabilities of this awesome everyday camera. I'm Mallory Davis, welcome to the channel. The Leica Q2 was released in 2019, and as an all-in-one or point-and-shoot type camera, it carries quite the hefty price tag. Currently on B&H Photo, you can pick up a Leica Q2 for $5,795. Now, you may be thinking, this is
redonkulous
for a camera that you cannot actually switch the lenses out. Well, there's more to this camera than just a pretty face. While yes, this camera does boast 47 megapixels, a fabulous exterior, a nice touchscreen on the back, but the real gem and the real reason that I personally purchased this camera is the lens. The Leica Summilux 28mm f1.7 lens. This thing is an absolute monster when it comes to low light photography. If you've been around my channel, you know that I've posted a ton of content about specific features of this camera and why I've integrated it into my everyday carry. I'm constantly grabbing this if we're just going out to dinner, if I'm going, to meet up with friends, etc. It's such a natural part of my everyday carry, and I've absolutely loved it. In the last year, I've shot in a whole host of different scenarios. Landscapes, portraits, my animals, as well as low light photography. Now, as a Sony shooter, I have very high expectations when it comes to low light performance. So for this everyday carry camera, I was genuinely intrigued as to how it would perform in these types of scenarios. So what helps make a camera a low light monster? It ultimately comes down to two things: your lens and your image sensor. The Leica Q2 has the famous Leica glass included. Obviously you can't remove this. So what you get with the Q2 is the Leica Summilux 28mm f1.7 lens. And so that f1.7, you're able to let in so much light. The ability of this lens to capture dynamic range and these low light scenarios is unprecedented. The second part of low light imaging is your image sensor. Leica paired the lens to an updated Maestro processing engine, and essentially it's able to process images ISO ranging from 50 all the way to 50,000. Now, if you get up towards that 50,000 range, it's gonna look pretty nasty, but I can say I've really pushed this camera to the limits in terms of what the ISO production would actually render as acceptable on my computer, and I have been blown away. Let's take a look at some of my favorite images I've captured in varying low light scenarios handheld. And I think what's important to note with every image that I'm sharing today, all of these were handheld, because again, the intent of the Q2, it's everyday carry. You're not wanting to tote around a tripod or any sort of extra accoutrement. It's meant to be able to run and gun photography wherever you may be. I think what's important about an everyday carry camera is just capturing the daily moments, the little things. When I take a portrait with the Leica or with my iPhone, it's just, there's something tangible. It just feels so much better coming from the Leica. And there's just something about the bokeh in the background, but it's this warm, visceral type feeling. So some general tips for using the Leica Q2 in low light settings. I would typically never turn this on my Sony cameras, but for the Leica Q2, I actually do have the optical image stabilization turned on. Another tip for run and gun photography, I love the Leica Q2 because if I hand my camera to someone, I can always just pop it over to the auto setting. I can do auto aperture, I can do auto shutter speed, I can also do auto ISO. So in my case, when I'm out walking around doing shots, I will do a manual aperture, I will do a manual shutter speed. That allows me some flexibility and control. But what I will do in my settings is set the ISO to auto. This way, again, as the light changes and I'm focusing on different subjects, the camera can very quickly adjust and help me capture the moment just as it was. I hope this video was informative if you were thinking about the Leica or just curious about how the Q2 performed in these types of situations. After having shot with this camera for a year, I continue to learn more and more about Leica, but particularly the nuances of what this camera can actually handle, and I could not be more impressed with the low light capabilities over this year. If you enjoy this type of content, hit that subscribe button to receive more content in the future. Thank you so much again for being here. I wish you happy shooting, and we'll see you on the next one.